750 meters.
Have you ever wondered what's in those dark depths?
The frilled shark is one of the most bizarre-looking creatures on the planet. It really does look like an alien.
Oh man, look at him. He's very alienish.
Even if I show you, you won't believe the mysteries the silent water holds.
The first ever two-headed bull shark.
From invisible creatures to critters that prefer solitude.
What are you? I'm not sure if it's some sort of mimicry or if it's a prey posture.
It's one heck of a world, so dive in with us to shake your head. Meet the sleek, silvery predator cruising through the depths with one thing on its mind: food. And boy, does it have a big mouth. Pacific viperfish are deep-sea creatures that migrate from the depths to shallower waters every night, ready to chow down on anything that moves. Their menu? Small fish and shrimp, served with a side of fear. But what really sets them apart is their dental game. With needle-like teeth and two front fangs that could rival Dracula's, they're built to snatch up prey with ease. Throughout the day, these creatures munch on some grub in the deep ocean, around 1,500 meters below the surface, where barely any light can get through. But don't worry, they've got a trick up their sleeve. Using photophores to emit a faint light, they mesmerize their victims before dinner time, and then enjoy their meal. Dartfish. Let me introduce you to the dartfish, a real underdog in the deep ocean. With its downward tilted pelvic bones and upward facing eyes, it is always ready for action. Sporting a blade-like body, it glides through the water thanks to its clever design. Check out those pale blue lights on its belly. They help this fish blend in and play hide and seek with any predators lurking below. But here's where it gets interesting. It's not the only one with this camouflage game. Lots of critters in the twilight zone of the ocean use similar tricks to stay safe. However, the dartfish, especially the Argyropellicus species, takes it up a notch. With its large pupils and eyes that pop out, it's like the Sherlock Holmes of the sea, spotting hidden prey with ease. Plus, it can control the brightness of its lights, focusing on objects near and far. Now that's what I call being prepared for anything. Vampire squid. Now that looks like something straight out of a horror movie. But don't worry, this is just another deep-sea creature, the vampire squid. Some scientists at the Monterey Bay Aquarium Research Institute found out some crazy stuff about how this old-school creature likes to chow down. Unlike its squid cousins, it doesn't use feeding tentacles. Instead, it's a laid-back eater that feeds on marine snow, which is the sinking organic particles. It has long filaments that it uses to grab these particles, and then it moves them towards its mouth in a graceful manner. All of this happens while the squid is drifting motionlessly in the low oxygen depths. So next time you're exploring the deep ocean, beware. Vampires might just be lurking around, thirsty for a midnight snack. Creepy fangtooth. Meet the fangtooth fish that has a face only a disturbed person could love. Those giant fangs and bulging eyes have intrigued the scientists for a long time. But despite looking scary, these adults are not very good at defending themselves. Those big eyes are not very effective, so it depends on its lateral line for vision, a sensitive organ on its side to sense movement and temperature changes. The fangtooth fish is a clever hunter and uses special chemical receptors to smell the water and find its prey. Its big teeth act like a trap, allowing it to catch fish even larger than itself. Fortunately, there are special sockets in the roof of its mouth that prevent it from accidentally hurting its brain with those sharp teeth. It's wonderful how evolution and Mother Nature works. Homop Pisces. I bet you've never seen nor even imagined this before. Yes, you saw it right, a human-faced fish. Are you thinking of relating it to a failed science experiment? Big eyes, a well-defined nose, well-curved lips, and what else similar to a human face? Well, it does seem creepy, but it's a reality we cannot let go of. Situated in the region of Karanji, Lake Samsara, this otherworldly creature was recently explored and quickly went viral. It was given the scientific name of Homop Pisces. Despite the video claiming that the human-faced fish exists, many have debunked its existence. However, it is yet to be confirmed by the scientific community whether they are playing with human genes, or if this creature was actually hiding from us. Twin-Headed Shark. You will start believing that mutations can be beautiful and do wonders once you see this twin-headed shark. Sharks are often perceived to be scary, but this one takes the cake. Discovered in Mexico in 2011, this first-ever two-headed bull shark has even baffled the scientists, who have now started believing in miracles of nature. Generally, shark eggs fertilize into twins initially, and then one survives based on survival of the fittest. But here, it seems as if both were equally strong, and hence refused to give up, deciding on mutual existence, astonishing the other creatures around. However, none of them could survive longer. The rare specimen was transported to the Marine Science Department for further analysis. Flat Flounder. Well, you might be thinking that flounder fishes have a swimming disorder, but that's not the case. There's a reason why it is said that we are not supposed to make judgments this quickly. Flounder fishes are born with their normal eyes on both sides, but as they grow older, one of their eyes shifts with the other eye, and both end up on the same side. Hence, instead of swimming upright, they lie flat on the ocean floor and are often witnessed as a glitch in the matrix. However, if we talk of its meat, it is slightly sweet, being rich in omega-3 fats, making it a perfect diet for the deficient ones. Alien sharks. Scientists have nicknamed this species the lizard shark, but originally it was called the frilled shark and gets its name from a row of 6 red-lined gills on its body. Though it makes its features worth noticing, there is another thing that might shift your attention from its decorative gills: its 300 terrifying teeth. This shark has been on Earth for 80 million years, and it looks more like an eel at first glance. Frilled sharks can grow up to 6 feet long with 25 rows of teeth that face inward, ensuring once prey gets in, they don't get out. This critter lives hundreds or thousands of feet below the surface, so we can't see it regularly, which is such a relief to know for my next trip to the sea. Blobfish. If there was a contest on being nasty, I bet this fish would have never returned undefeated. A pale pink gelatinous blob with a droopy, downturned mouth and large sagging nose. This is a blobfish that hovers in the caldera at axial seamount, approximately 300 miles off the Oregon coast. They don't have strong bones or thick muscles, so they rely on water pressure to hold their shape together. That's why blobfish collapse into a squishy mush when they're pulled up to the surface. Because they live at incredible depths, it is hard to study them in their natural environment. Much of what scientists have learned about them comes from deceased blobfish pulled up to the surface, hence why their above-water form is more widely recognized. Bubbleeye. Now this one literally looks like a creature from some other planet. Peculiar and cute at the same time, with large fluid-filled sacs on both sides of its head. Next on the list is the Bubbleeye fish. But it's not just these bubbles that make them look different. They also don't have dorsal fins. These abnormalities lead to the handicaps of poor swimming ability and partial blindness. Many aquarium lovers add them into their water jars for the sake of increasing their beauty, but rarely are they aware that their bubbles are extremely delicate. They can be burst by even the slightest change in the atmospheric pressure, contaminating the other fish as well. But again, their tiny wobbling swaps in the water make them the cutest water beings, and we all surely cannot stop adoring them. Ghostfish. A scuba diver with 40 years of experience came across a strange critter while exploring the Mediterranean coast of Malta. It looked like a shadow of water, but when he touched it, it felt like a living creature, and so he named it a ghostfish. The diver approached the International Ocean Institute and found out that this ghostfish is a salp creature, a species that reaches maturity in 48 hours, and that can grow by up to 10% every hour. This curious animal moves by contraction, pumping water through its gelatinous body. They eat everything that they can catch, although their favorite food is phytoplankton. Salps normally live for between 2 weeks and 3 months, until they are eaten by a mackerel or a tuna. Glass octopus. While scientists have sent their robots to the depths of the ocean, they were not expecting to find an octopus with a completely transparent body. Glass octopi weren't discovered until 1918, and still, little is known about these cephalopods, except that they live in tropical and subtropical areas in the deep ocean or twilight zone. Glass octopi have cylindrical eye shapes that may have evolved to keep a low profile in the deep water. It's like a camouflage that they use to protect themselves from predators. Like other glass creatures, this octopus is almost completely transparent, with only their eyes, optic nerve, and digestive tract appearing clear. There are already over 300 types of octopi roaming our oceans, yet this is the most bizarre of them. Glass mind. I'm not sure why scientists are investing in outer space expeditions. Aliens are clearly roaming right here in the depths of our oceans. Meet the Barel, a deep-sea fish known for its strange 2 bright green eyes that can be seen through the transparent dome on its head. Surprisingly, these eyes can rotate forward, helping the fish spot prey above them in the water. Despite their unique features, these fish usually grow up to only 6 inches long. In more than 3 decades of deep-sea research, experts have sent their remote control vehicles more than 5,600 times into the deep water. Yet, as of 2022, they've only encountered this fish 9 times. This depicts that our seas are less explored, and many rare critters that have found their home in them are still yet to be discovered. Blind fish. Also known as Mexican tetra, these blind cavefish may be blind in the eyes, but not in the mind. They live deep down in dark areas underwater, not being aware of worldly light. The Mexican tetra is often mistaken by hunters for being easily caught, but believe me, there's no greater predator than them when they're swimming around their dark caveside area. Their greatest defense lies in their ability to attack back in the dark, where all other creatures go blind. The reason for their blindness lies not in a genetic mutation, but in incomplete research, which mentions that their visionary genes went missing a long time back and never recovered in any generation hence. An albino fish, perhaps? Nah, that's just because of the color white. Deep sea UFO. Dive into the deep, dark ocean, and you'll discover the Atola Jellyfish, a true marvel of the deep. Shaped like a crown, this jellyfish reigns over the abyss with its glowing bioluminescent body, pulsating with light in the pitch-black waters. This isn't just for show either. When threatened, the Atola jellyfish flashes brightly to deter predators or lure bigger threats to its foes. As a silent predator, it uses its long tentacles to capture prey, feeding on small fish and other marine creatures in its deep-sea domain. Living up to 4,000 meters below the surface, the Atola jellyfish embodies the mystery and adaptability of life in the ocean's depths. Its ethereal beauty and cunning survival tactics highlight how life finds a way, even in the most impossible conditions. Sea streamer. Once the Schmidt Ocean Institute shared this video on Twitter, the whole community was baffled to see such odd structures. The long, silvery thing arranged in a spiral shape almost looks otherworldly. Some even suggested it looked like a swirling artwork or a giant piece of floating string. But trust me, it's actually a living, working world in itself. These thread-like creatures in the deep sea are actually colonies of living beings working together. This organism is called a giant siphonophore, and it's made up of different specialized parts that do specific jobs. Some parts catch prey, some digest food, some reproduce, and others help it swim. It can grow up to 130 feet long, even longer than a blue whale, which is usually considered the largest animal on Earth. Enigmatic eel. If there's one thing in the deep sea that qualifies as our literal nightmares, it would be the Gulper Eel.
Wow.
Looks like me. Is it engorged or is it like that?
This deep-sea fish has a scoop-like jaw and was first named after a pelican for its uncanny resemblance. It was first discovered in Lyon by Louis Valiant in 1882 and soon earned the name Gulper Eel. When it encounters prey, this fish opens its mouth to the impressive limit, eating prey twice its size, including squid or swarms of shrimp. And while doing so, the fish looks like a giant balloon floating in the water. Although it has a quick prey-catching ability, it doesn't have the swimming potential to follow its hunt. And this is the reason it remains at depths of 500 to 3,000 meters, instead of joining its Twilight Zone buddies to the surface for dinner. So you're lucky you won't have to encounter those giant jaws on any surfing trip. Pacific Black Dragon. Here's a fish that found the best way to survive in the dark depths of the ocean. Meet the Pacific Black Dragon. This is the second blackest fish that has developed an interesting survival mechanism. These fish have adapted their shape, size, and skin pigment to absorb 99.5% of the light that hits them, making them about 20 times darker than everyday black objects. In addition to the complete camouflage, the razor-sharp teeth and a clever lure add to their creepy reputation. Interestingly, they can communicate with each other using red light, which is not visible to any other creature inhabiting these depths. So these monsters have established a secret language to plan their hunts. In the utter darkness of the deep sea, where visibility is limited, these fish take advantage of bioluminescent light. So if you ever get to go as deep as 500 to 2,000 meters, you'll never even see the black dragonfish coming for you. Deep crawler. This is the anglerfish, and it's one of the most extravagant creatures of the deep sea that inhabit the depths of 1,900 feet below the surface. Its giant fangs and its bioluminescent pole, which it uses to lure in prey, have intrigued researchers a lot. The footage taken by the aquarium is one of a small handful of videos in existence of the fish. Males are mostly less than 4 inches long. However, females have a large head and mouth with long, pointed teeth. These fish live in the darker, deeper corners of the ocean and are soft-bodied fish that lack scales and pelvic fins. Although they are safe around humans, still, watch out while going deep down. Red-lipped Batfish. Meet the red-lipped batfish, a tiny water dweller that spends most of its time crawling on the ocean floor. This bottom dweller is often found walking on the sandy ocean floor. Yeah, it's too pretty to be doing ordinary swimming fish activities. Nah, I'm just kidding. They actually avoid swimming as much as possible and usually use camouflage to protect themselves from predators because of their small size. They are bestowed with special pectoral fins that look like feet, which are used to stroll across the floor. Now, as far as their diet is concerned, they eat according to their size. small fish, worms, crabs, and shrimps. The red-lipped fish is completely harmless to humans. Although they have an unusual appearance, they would not munch on you unless you are a small fish or an invertebrate. Flying spaghetti. Recently, a team of researchers discovered a sea animal that has large tentacles dangling all over its body, so they call it a flying spaghetti. Officially known as the Bathyphisa conifera. It may look superficially like jellyfish, but they're far weirder than them. Siphonophores actually clone themselves to grow. Instead of a single body, one siphonophore is a tightly knit colony of many organisms. Sometimes thousands of them. With all of those individuals coming together, they can grow to be the longest animals in the sea. Meanwhile, the organisms that make them up serve different functions. Some are born to feed, others to reproduce. It's kind of incredible, and scientists aren't sure how the colonies manage to coordinate so easily. Flower hat. Not everything in the deep ocean world has to be creepy. Some of these creatures can be as pretty as flowers. Surprising, right? Scientists felt somewhat the same when they found these jellyfish that looked like they were wearing flower hats. But these colorful tentacle tips are thought to act as lures to attract prey. The flower hat jelly, officially known as Olindius formosus, is found in the northwest Pacific, off southern Japan, and typically lives near the ocean floor, close to kelp or seagrass. This species' bell size can be up to 6 inches wide, and they live on small fish that they capture through their tentacles. Here's a sad fact about them. Although it is one of the most beautiful species found underwater, they don't live long, and their lifespan is 4 to 6 months. No wonder good things don't last for long. Crystal squid. I think this one has to be one of the most fascinating critters of the deep. Meet the glass squid, a tiny creature living in endless waters of twilight, without any protective habitat or shelter to live in. They use their transparency to survive in a home with few places to hide. The tiny dots on their bodies are known as chromatophores, which help them to go invisible, helping to hide themselves from prey and predators. In case their glass cover is blown, they expand their chromatophores to darken their appearance. Special light organs, called photophores, glow at a similar level to the faint sunlight from above. More than 60 species of glass squids live in deep twilight, yet only a few of them have been recorded, and this crystal squid is one of them. Phantom jellyfish. You are looking at one of the most elusive creatures of the deep sea, a giant phantom jellyfish. The species was first discovered in 1899, and since then, marine experts have only come across this animal about 110 times. It is massive, sporting a bell more than a meter across, and with 4 arms that are up to 30 meters long. These tentacles look like ribbons and are often described as paddle-like due to how they flutter through the water. Scientists have managed to capture the video of phantom jelly with the help of submersibles, and although there have been very few videos to witness these majestic beings, they are still enough to blow away anyone with their sheer size. Lizardfish. We all know lizards can be pretty creepy, right? But have you heard of their underwater cousins, the lizardfish? This sneaky fish dwells in the depths ranging from 3,000 to over 8,000 feet. Yep, they're like the hermits of the sea, preferring the solitude of the Atlantic and Indo-West Pacific Oceans. These deep-sea lizardfish are rare sightings down there, and they like it that way. They're the ultimate stealth predators, roaming in the shadows and waiting for their next meal to swim on by. And when it does, they do it with lightning speed, thanks to their flexible teeth that help reel in their unsuspecting prey. But hey, don't go searching for them anytime soon. Unless you're planning a deep-sea expedition, chances are you won't be running into these elusive introverts anytime soon. Giant squid. The legend of colossal krakens from pirate stories could be somewhat true, but they inhabit the dark depths of our vast oceans. This is the giant squid making its way through the dark waters. With tentacles that could embrace an entire whale, these giants glide through the darkness, with their enormous eyes almost the size of dinner plates scanning the abyss for their next meal. But why do we have just fleeting glimpses of these magnificent beasts? The answer lies in their elusive nature, and only a few humans who ventured into their uncharted territories. The giant squid, with its grandeur and mystery, stands as a clear sign of the wonders that lie hidden in the depths of our planet. Leaf sheep. Also known as Costaciella kuroshime, these little sea slugs are so tiny, just like the size of a pea, and reside near the shores of Japan, Indonesia, and the Philippines. But don't let their size fool you. These little critters pack a punch. They munch on algae just like real sheep graze on grass. And you know what's even cooler? They can do photosynthesis. They're like mini solar panels, soaking up the sun's rays to power themselves through photosynthesis. Yup, you heard that right. These sea slugs are basically living, breathing plants. Now that's a real eco-friendly dude right there. Piglet Squid. We've been watching too much scary stuff. Let's take a break and appreciate the smiley face of the ocean, the Piglet Squid. This squid always looks like it's giving a smile, all thanks to its skin pigmentation. And guess what? It's about the size of a small avocado. Now, why the name Piglet Squid, you ask? Well, when it fills up with water, its siphon looks like a tuft of wild hair, giving it that piglet-esque charm. Its clear body lets you peek at its dark internal organs, giving it a bit of a cartoonish appearance. And despite its small size, it's not exactly Michael Phelps in the water. This little buddy prefers to take it slow. But hey, if you're lucky enough to spot one of these rare smiley faces while diving, consider yourself part of an elite club of ocean enthusiasts. Crawling crinoid. This astounding sea creature can make you think that it's a plant that's trying to swim. But let me tell you an interesting fact. This startling life form is a feather star whose bulky, branching appendages make it look like a plant. Their arms are usually in groups of 5, and not only help them to float, but also make it easier for them to catch tiny creatures like plankton. These critters even possess the magical ability to regenerate any lost arms, similar to sea stars. To move around, they have different options. They use small leg-like parts called cirri to crawl along the sea floor, and also to grab bits of food they happen to find. These members of group Crinoidea have been around for a long time, even before the dinosaurs. They showed up in the fossil record about 300 million years ago, during the Middle Cambrian period. Geologists are still studying their fossils to learn about past underwater environments. Fringe Head. Abandoned shells on the seafloor are home to the fascinating creature of the ocean, the sarcastic fringe heads. The sarcastic part of their common name is attributed to their temperament, and the fringe head to the different patches over their eyes. Although they are usually less than 10 inches long, they are fearless, bold, and aggressive. They open their mouths big and wide to challenge their opponents. It may not be the fastest, biggest, or cutest fish in the sea, but it deserves attention for its aggressive attitude. If you're lucky enough to see one in the wild, just make sure you keep your distance. I mean, who would want to be on the other side of that guy in a fight? Spiral Whisper. This is a chambered nautilus, and it has roamed in the oceans for more than 480 million years. These soft-bodied creatures live inside an intricately chambered shell, and can only sense dark and light with their simple, pinhole-type eyes. But it can comprehend water depth and current directions, as well as current speeds, to help it keep its body upright. A highly developed sense of smell helps a nautilus search for food and find mates. They exist in relatively different sizes of 6 to 8 inches in diameter. At night, nautiluses migrate up to shallower depths of about 230 feet to feed and lay their eggs. While most cephalopods are fairly short-lived, a nautilus may live for more than 20 years, reaching its maturity in 12 to 15 years. aqua feather. In the north of Johnston Atoll, somewhere in the Pacific Ocean, a team of researchers got an opportunity to examine an animal spotted for the very first time. The Cpen, a colonial cnidarian, had a single large feeding polyp with pinnate tentacles stretching over 40 centimeters from its 2-meter-long stalk. However, nothing more is known about the creature, as according to the research team, more analysis needs to be done to determine if this is the first Pacific Solumbellua monocephalus, or some new species in the ocean basin. Tubeworms. While exploring the underwater thermal vents, scientists were amazed to witness these white, thread-like things in the water. First discovered in 1977 at the Galapagos hydrothermal vents, these tubeworms are unique. They don't have a mouth, guts, or anus. Instead, they rely on special bacteria for nutrition that use energy and hydrogen sulfide to make food for the worms. Living in a dynamic environment, these tubeworms grow incredibly fast, reaching almost 3 feet in just a year and a half. These worms produce lots of larvae, but only a few find active vents to grow and reproduce. The corrosive hot water released by the vents is vital for these adult tubeworms to stay alive and healthy in their environments. Sea tube. Divers near New Zealand were thrilled to encounter this huge sea worm, about 30 feet long, known as a pyrosome. Despite its intimidating appearance, these creatures are safe to approach for humans. They are a type of sea creature called tunicates, and some people even call them the cockroaches of the sea. These see-through worm-like beings can glow and may resemble a floating plastic bag in the water. Sea tubes are planktonic, meaning they mostly move with ocean currents, tides, and waves. However, it can also slowly propel itself, using jet propulsion at a smaller scale. I know they look somewhat similar to the salps, and that's because sea tubes are closely related to salps, and are sometimes called fire salps for their giant size. It's time for today's open discussion. So, let's talk about this fish, called Dunkleosteus. It's an old fish from a long time ago, discovered in 1867 by a person named J. Terrell. They used to call it Dinichthyes, which means terrible fish. Interestingly, some marine experts didn't catch this fish recently. It was on top of the food chain around 359 million years ago. This fish used to roam in the deepest parts of the ocean. Dunkleosteus was the biggest of its kind, and it was part of a group called Arthrodira, which means jointed neck. That means its head could move up and down a lot, giving it a super wide bite. With a strong jaw, it could eat hard stuff easily. There's also this fascinating thing. It could open its mouth super fast and suck in its food. Thankfully, it doesn't exist in today's world. Otherwise, God knows what would have happened to the other sea animals. Thank you very much for watching the video. Do like and share it with your friends. Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to not miss any of the upcoming amazing videos. Thank you once again.